Hi everybody. Today we're here to talk about files. And I know it's not a very exciting subject, but what are you going to do? File is probably the most neglected tool that you have. The only thing worse than a file is probably a hammer. But you do need to have maintenance to your file. If you pick up files like, let's say, inside your house, or you go to an estate sale, if they probably look like this, some of them might look better than others. I mean, this looks terrible. This looks okay. Then we got this triangle file, which looks okay. And then we got this file. The problem with all these files are, on the surface, some look worse than others. But below that, these are all crudded up. Files always carry a little particles, dirt, oil, whatever you want to call it, inside the file. And what we're going to talk about today is various methods of how people take them out. Or don't. They just don't take them out, and they wonder why the file is not cutting as good as it should. We'll use this file. It's cutting, but we're going to make it better. When you look at this file, even if you're looking to buy it at an estate sale, a few things to realize is if you run your finger here towards the middle where everybody uses it, and here, you'll kind of get a little bit of an idea of if it's worn or not. If it feels the same down here as it feels over here, that's great, because the file is not pretty much worn. It's not worn, it's just got crud. So usually people talk about using the card file. You see these videos all the time. They have this mounted somewhere, and you use the card file, and on the pull stroke it removes things off the file. Well, that doesn't work that good. As you can see there, there's still crud in there, but between you and me, there's still a lot more in there that the file is not getting out. I don't care if you buy these brand new, or this might be the best one ever made, it just doesn't do it. A very effective but tedious way is to use the copper. Some people show you how you squeeze this together and you make a flat. We don't want the flat. I know it sounds like you'll cover more surface area with the flat, but the problem with the flat is you have to exert a lot more force, and chances are you're not going to get to the bottom of the hills and the valleys of the file. And the reason you're not going to get down there is because, being that it's a wide surface area, it's a flat against it. If you look at this one, it's round. Once we start using it, you could see, and you probably even see in the video, it's kicking the pieces away. But to do that, it has to get the contour of your file while you're doing this. That's why a long flat is not going to work as good. If you look carefully at this, you could see the edge, you could see the geometry of the file at the edge of this round tubing. And it's only, looks like it goes into 3 or 4, maybe 5 rows at max. But since it goes in there, it's able to dig out and get more. We hope everybody washes their hands. And when you wash your hands, you don't just use water, you use soap. Soap is a solvent. When you clean your files, you should use a solvent. But will the solvent and this work? No. Will the solvent and this work better? Yes. What we're going to do is we're going to show you the way we do it. I like to use diesel or kerosene. It's very inexpensive, and I just take some and put it across the top of the file. It'll get all the way to the bottom, and you do it on both sides. Now, if you leave this to lay longer in the diesel, it's better. And the reason why it's better is that it'll have more of a chance to get in there. And now we're fully covered. Now we're going to go to our tool that we're going to use to remove this. In this case, it is any old motor with a wire wheel on it. You could use brass wire wheels, they take longer. You could use different types of steel wire wheels. I would tend to go with ones that have thinner hairs so that they can get into the cracks better. And I would tend to use larger ones so that the motor doesn't get in your way. Grab the file in your hand, and you got to look at the angle of the cuts of the file, and that's the angle that you're going to run this at. You're not going to do it where it kicks it up into your face. At best, you could do it straight down so it kicks it out to wherever the direction of the motor is, or downward so you don't get none in your eyes. This is a good time to make sure that you definitely have your eye protection on. You definitely want eye protection. Turn on your motor. This motor is turning that way. Understand it's a rotating device, so you want to know how your file is going to react, how you're holding it. And look, we took a few cuts already, and we're just going to go back and forth. We can also do the ends. This is the fastest way to do it. It doesn't hurt your file, because you're also following the grooves. You just got to make sure that you're holding it in such a way where it's not going to get away from you. You can do passes like this where you're just bouncing on it. You want to get the front and the back of the file. And then, as you can see, even if I do it downward, okay, I mean, look at that file now. Look at that. That looks like a brand new file. This is the old side. This is the side we're working on. So you see, if you had a bigger wheel, you'd follow the geometry better. And some places where it needs more, you just come back to it. Now, if you don't get everything with this, and there's still some really grounded dirt in there, no problem. Pull out the copper. But the copper takes forever. If you do this first, you're going to get rid of most of it, and then just use the copper for like a few stubborn areas. Look at that. This side we just did. This side we just did. And some of these here are the rust. You can't help that. Okay? This is what we started with. Or we started with something like this. This hardly took any time. If you're not used to using, or it's difficult for you to get one of these, if it's difficult for you to get one of these, you could also use a drill mounted version. The only thing with the drill mounted version, I would secure this to the table. So, before, after. I don't know if you remember what it sounded like before, but this is definitely taking off more metal than it was before. In fact, if you want to see the other side again, we still didn't. Okay, this is the old side. This is the new side. You could definitely see and hear the difference. New side that we just did, old side. Here's another one of the files that I did earlier. I mean, this looks like a new file. You know? And this was in a very crowded situation like this. So here's now the triangular file. We'll hit this a few times. Put a little diesel on it. We'll do one side only. If you want to soak these in the diesel longer, it'll help it. It'll make it. Here we go. Just got to make sure it doesn't get away from you. If you're going to use one of these motors with the wire brush on it, I would clamp it down like I have it clamped down right now. And here we go. Before, after. And we'll try this one too. Before, after. You can definitely feel the bite with your finger across it. Here it slides more. You know, it just makes it a whole lot better. And it's easy to touch up. And you can give your card files away to somebody else. And you can have these fantastic looking files just from a few moments on the sander. I mean on the wire wheel brush. Again, we still might have dirt on this. If you have some high, spots that still has the dirt or the crud, you can always go back with the copper. Copper works best when it's round, not flat. It might take you a little longer, but it's definitely gonna give you better results because the copper can get in there. Actually, we did such a pretty good job on this. We did such a good job on this that we don't really need to take out anymore. Even if you don't use the solvent and just touch it up, you can see how quickly it cleans up the file. Remember, keep the same angle. Look at that. So this we just did right here, and this part we didn't do. We didn't do. We did. Did, didn't. I don't know if you can hear it. But there's definitely a difference. It wants to slide more down here, and it's definitely biting more. And this is a bastard cut file. If you're not sure which one is a bastard usually has two sets of cuts on it. You could just think of Game of Thrones, and Jon Snow didn't know who his father was. So there's your bastard file. I hope this was some help. And then next time someone tells you to use a card file, throw it away. Next time someone tells you to use the copper and flatten it out, say no, we like it round. Round is better. Less surface area, gets deeper. And when it gets deeper, it creates that edge geometry. See the edge geometry? All right, everybody, this is all we have for you today. Be safe, God bless, wear your goggles, and make something.